Hello. Hello, everyone. I am live. Excuse me. It is Becca Lori Hector, and I am here with Growing Gratitude, which is where I chat about the things that are challenging for autistic adults, myself included, alive today, and where we talk about what motivates us, right, through our weeks and how we get through those challenges to keep going, right? And so, welcome to Growing Gratitude. Things always to talk about here, but this is going to be, I think, a short episode, maybe, and also kind of one that is not my usual. So I try my darndest to kind of stay up to date with you guys and what things are doing, but I try not to talk about things in a very time-stampy way so that those things stay relevant when these videos stay out there, right? The lessons are always relevant, right? The circumstances around them always change, but the lessons are relevant. And so that's what I try to keep growing gratitude to, are these relevant lessons that I'm hoping that we can all take with us into future places. Okay. But in order to, in order to really feel like well, let me think about that again. Let me think about how I want to say that. In order to, I guess, really feel like I'm doing the best that I can do on here, there are times when I do need to talk about things that are timely and time stampy. And that's going to be today's episode. It's going to be a little bit time stampy, so I don't know how well this will hold up from a few weeks from now, but I do want to talk about some things. And I think there are lessons in it which are going to be relevant to move forward. And so I'm going to do that today. And part of the reason I'm keeping it short is what we're going to be talking about. So if you are in the United States right now, here in January of 2025, it is a bit like watching a dystopian apocalyptic movie that has just begun, and you are in the beginning credits of this movie, and it's you've met the leading characters, and it's not looking good for them. And that's how it feels here in the States right now. Like it's not looking very good for us. And so, as someone who is part of some of the groups that are being targeted, and is also I've chosen family and whatnot in groups that are being targeted right now too. So it's a tough time to be here in America, and we're also, of course, not getting all the news. We're not hearing. I'm so like with my hair right now because you guys, I'm just uncomfortable in my own skin right now. So it's been a whirlwind of information for us, and that's the lesson I guess I want to talk about today. Is I can't even seem to get my thoughts straight, even to share them with you guys, right? So you can sort of feel from me how I'm not even sure how to go about processing what's going on in our world for myself, let alone be able to really share with you guys how you should be processing or could be processing what's going on in our world. So I guess what I want to say, let me just look at my phone notes, I guess, because I took a whole bunch of notes this weekend and at the end of last week, with today in mind, knowing that there were things that I was going to want to talk about today. And so what I think the lesson is in all of this for us, that what we can take away from what's going on right now, is that the hopes from the machine are that we will get so distracted by the wielding of power, right, that we will not take care of ourselves, and in the hopes, and not taking care of ourselves, right, we will not have the strength to stand up against whatever might be going on. And that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about how right now the world feels out of my control. The world feels completely out of my control, and I feel angry and sad and unempowered and lots of other things about it. I also feel like, in an effort to really secure that position on things, news is being tampered with, information is being tampered with, and it's also being shuttled at us at a speed in which our brain does not have the capacity to process, right? And that creates a feeling of panic and overwhelm. And that's intentional. It's an intentional people are intentionally causing us to have that panic and overwhelm right now because it makes us feel insecure and unsafe. And that is when people like to swoop in and take advantage of us when you are at your weakest. So we are by the powers that be and the propaganda that is being created, right? We are being meant to feel as though things are happening really fast and that they are out of control and that we better find some safe place to be. And that's intentional. That's an intentional feeling. And what we can do about that is very limited, right? But what we have to remember is that when things feel out of control in the world out there, it's time to take even more control of the things that we do have control over, right? So here's is to empower ourselves with the things that we do have control over. And our response, our reactions to what's going on in our world right now is where that lives. That's where the control lives. We get to control how we are going to respond to what is coming at us like that, right? And I think that it is natural to want to feel like you have to flee, to want to feel like you need to hide, to want to feel like you just want to take your anger out on something, right? But none of those things really help us in the long term. And you know that what I talk about here all the time, right, is how do we sustain for the long term? And what I mean in this context is the way that we sustain is to not get sucked into, right, that tornado of propaganda. And remember that there are still lots of things in our lives that we get to control and to take control over those. And what I mean by that, and I wrote a list of some of those things, to do more things you can, so create more. Right? You want to get out there and use the energy that is wanting to worry and focus on imminent destruction and all the other things they want us to think about. And you want to take all of that energy and think about what you can create with it. What can I do with that energy? How can I put more goodness out in the world? Can I write more? Can I write about what I'm feeling and put it out in the world? Can I build tools for other people? That's what I'm doing, right? Can I take this energy and use it somewhere else, right? So when I was thinking about ways that we could repurpose all of this anxious energy that is being stirred up, right, for us in an involuntary manner, what can we then do with the energy that it produces? Well, the right way, or not the right way, but the way that I think we should really do that is to do the opposite, to take all of that energy as being created and put it in the opposite realm. Take all of that energy and use it to create good, right? To do more self care, to create more joy, to share more joy with other people, right? And then to remember to stay informed, but at a pace in which you can process it. So, not too long ago, we only used to have the news once or twice a day, and that's what everyone would watch, and that's the pace at which our brains could process what was going on. Now you could get new news, quote unquote, or breaking news, right? If you wanted to, every 10 seconds, right? And that it doesn't mean that it's new, really new news, or that it's life altering news, or that it's news even worth paying attention to. But that's what the world is spinning right now. And what I want to tell you is that you can get off, right? You can put out goodness. You can decide how much you let in. I'm not telling you to isolate yourself and block yourself off from reality. What I'm saying is it doesn't have to be your 24/7. It can be a couple of hours of the day. And the rest of the day should be about maintaining, right? Making sure you can pay your bills and that you can make your meals and that you're taking care of your meat suit and you're taking care of your headspace, right? So with all of this extra energy that gets churned up, it's really what is wanting, the result that's being wanted from the outside world is for us to give into that fear, to feel more insecure, to feel like we need the news at that every 10 seconds, right? And that we become obsessed with those things, that we let it derail us. And I say to you, now is the time to get really serious about the goals that you want to reach. Now is the time to stay aligned more than ever. Now is the time to focus on self-care more than ever. Now is the time to pay attention to you and your priorities and not the outside world and its priorities, right? Because otherwise, when the world needs you, you will be depleted. You will not be able to rise to the charge, right? When the time comes for us to really band together and do something that can effectively change the way that things are happening out there, we don't want to be so depleted from the propaganda machine that we can't take care of ourselves and those around us. And so that is what I'm saying to you today. Today's mission, today's goal, or this week's goal is to stay aligned, to stay focused on your goals, to do more of the things that you can control, do more of that self-care, more of your prioritizing of your family and home life, more of thinking about your budget and your choices and what you want to do with your time here, so that when the time comes for you to use whatever small amounts of power and privilege that you do have, you are rested and ready to come and stand, right? So I guess that's really where I want to leave you today. It's a really short episode, but I'm just like you, and I'm out in it right now, and I'm scared and I'm sad and I'm angry and I'm feeling really unempowered. And so I've gone out and I've done more things for myself, including picking up some volunteer work at some organizations that I feel like we're really, really going to need right now. And what I hope that this episode does for everyone is really just inspire you that in times of trouble, right, in times when things are unsure and insecure, we can only really rely on ourselves, right? And that means we have to do self first, self-care, in order to be filled up and ready to take care of those around us. And I'm thinking of all of you out there. I don't want to kind of what's the word? I don't want to minimize what's going on out there, but I do want to put it in a place for you. I do want to tell you that, things are moving fast, but they're not moving as fast as they would like us to believe, right? And also, there are still safe places and safe people that we can find. And if you want to be one of those safe places and safe peoples for others, you really have to take care of yourself. You really have to nurture self. So when that knock comes from that person who really needs you, you can hold them up, right? You have the energy to hold them up. And I'm holding space, which just sounds crazy to say in these days, but holding thoughts, I'm holding feelings, for all of my folks that are part of the communities, my own included, that are being sort of really criminalized right now. And it's very sad and it's really hard to live with. But I hope that this little bit of perspective taking will help remind us that the only way to stand up for each other is to really make sure that we are well ourselves. And with that, I say to you, yeah, that's it for me today. I'm depleted. And so with that, I give you my reminder, which is a reminder to self as much as it's a reminder to you, which is that Growing Gratitude is here every Mondays at 11:30 Eastern time. I talk about these things here. I talk about the things that we're actually being challenged by right now. And I also remind you today more than ever to please, please, please do not get pulled off your alignment with everything that is coming in. Remember to control your input, right? Because you have control of it, and that input impacts your output, right? And also a big giant reminder to please, please, please take care of your meat suit, right? Pay attention to your headspace too, right? And by all goodness, be open to all those glimmers that are out there, because even though it doesn't feel like there's any out there right now, there are still people out there. And maybe today's Growing Gratitude was a glimmer for you. Keep well, guys, and I will see you next Monday.